Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." And she added, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking, and she said to Abraham, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God said to him, "Do not be so distressed. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring." Early the next morning Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He sent her off with the boy. She wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water was gone, she put the boy under a bush and sat down nearby, for she thought, "I cannot watch the boy die." And she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. Lift the boy up, for I will make him into a great nation." Then God opened her eyes and she saw a well of water. She went and filled the skin and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. At that time Abimelech and Phicol the commander of his forces said to Abraham, "God is with you in everything you do. Swear to me here that you will not deal falsely with me or with my descendants." Abraham agreed and made a treaty at Beersheba. After the treaty had been made, Abimelech and Phicol returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah as he had said, and the Lord did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah became pregnant and bore a son to Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah bore him. When his son Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, as God commanded him. Abraham was 100 years old when Isaac was born. Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me." And she added, "Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." The child grew and was weaned, and on the day Isaac was weaned, Abraham held a great feast. But Sarah saw that the son whom Hagar the Egyptian had borne to Abraham was mocking, and she said to Abraham, "Get rid of that slave woman and her son, for that woman's son will never share in the inheritance with my son Isaac." The matter distressed Abraham greatly because it concerned his son. But God said to him, "Do not be so distressed. Listen to whatever Sarah tells you, because it is through Isaac that your offspring will be reckoned. I will make the son of the slave into a nation also, because he is your offspring." Early the next morning Abraham took some food and a skin of water and gave them to Hagar. He sent her off with the boy. She wandered in the desert of Beersheba. When the water was gone, she put the boy under a bush and sat down nearby, for she thought, "I cannot watch the boy die." And she began to sob. God heard the boy crying, and the angel of God called to Hagar from heaven and said, "What is the matter, Hagar? Do not be afraid. Lift the boy up, for I will make him into a great nation." Then God opened her eyes and she saw a well of water. She went and filled the skin and gave the boy a drink. God was with the boy as he grew up. He lived in the desert and became an archer. While he was living in the desert of Paran, his mother got a wife for him from Egypt. At that time Abimelech and Phicol the commander of his forces said to Abraham, "God is with you in everything you do. Swear to me here that you will not deal falsely with me or with my descendants." Abraham agreed and made a treaty at Beersheba. After the treaty had been made, Abimelech and Phicol returned to the land of the Philistines. Abraham planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there he called on the name of the Lord. And Abraham stayed in the land of the Philistines for a long time. Some time later God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," Abraham replied. Then God said, "Take your son, your only son, whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." Early the next morning Abraham got up, loaded his donkey, and took with him 2 of his servants and his son Isaac. After cutting wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place God had told him about. On the 3rd day, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey while I and the boy go over there. We will worship and then we will come back to you." Abraham took the wood and placed it on Isaac, and he carried the fire and the knife. As they walked together, Isaac spoke up and said, "Father?" "Yes, my son?" "The fire and wood are here," Isaac said, "but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb, my son." When they reached the place, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar. Then he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called out from heaven, "Abraham! Abraham!" "Here I am," he replied. "Do not lay a hand on the boy," the angel said. "Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son." Abraham looked up and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. So Abraham called that place "The Lord will provide." The angel of the Lord called to Abraham again and said, "Because you have done this and have not withheld your son, I will bless you and make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky and as the sand on the seashore. And through your offspring all nations on earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed me." Then Abraham returned to his servants, and they set off together for Beersheba. Sarah lived to be 127 years old. She died at Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Abraham went to mourn for Sarah and to weep over her. Then Abraham rose and spoke to the Hittites. "I am a foreigner and stranger among you. Sell me some property for a burial site." The Hittites replied, "Listen, sir. You are a mighty prince among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our tombs." Abraham bowed and said, "Let me buy the cave of Machpelah, which belongs to Ephron. I will pay the full price." Ephron replied, "Listen, my lord, the field is worth 400 shekels of silver, but what is that between us?" Abraham agreed to the terms and weighed out the silver. So Ephron's field in Machpelah near Mamre was deeded to Abraham as a burial site. Afterward, Abraham buried Sarah in the cave in the field of Machpelah near Mamre, in the land of Canaan. Abraham was now very old, and the Lord had blessed him in every way. He said to his senior servant, "Put your hand under my thigh. Swear by the Lord that you will not get a wife for my son from the Canaanites, but go to my country and my relatives and get a wife for Isaac." The servant asked, "What if the woman is unwilling to come back with me?" Abraham said, "The Lord will send his angel before you. If she refuses to come, you are released from the oath." The servant took 10 of his master's camels and set out with all kinds of good things. He reached the town of Nahor and had the camels kneel near the well outside the town. Then he prayed, "Lord, make me successful today. May it be that when I say to a young woman, 'Please let down your jar,' and she says, 'Drink, and I'll water your camels too,' let her be the one." Before he had finished praying, Rebekah came out with her jar on her shoulder. She was very beautiful, and she went down to the spring to fill her jar. The servant hurried to meet her and asked for a drink. She gave him a drink and said, "I'll draw water for your camels too." Without saying a word, the servant watched her closely. Then he gave her gold jewelry and asked, "Whose daughter are you?" She answered, "I am the daughter of Betuel, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor." The servant bowed down and worshipped the Lord. When Rebekah's brother Laban saw the jewelry, he went out to meet the man at the spring. They brought the servant into the house, and he explained everything to Rebekah's family. He said, "Now, if you will show kindness to my master, tell me, and if not, tell me, so I may know which way to turn." Laban and Betuel answered, "This is from the Lord. Take Rebekah and go, as the Lord has directed." Then they blessed Rebekah and sent her with the servant. Rebekah and her attendants mounted their camels and followed the man. Now Isaac had come from Beer Lahai Roi. He went out to meditate in the field one evening, and as he looked up, he saw camels approaching. Rebekah also looked up and saw Isaac. She got down from her camel and asked, "Who is that man in the field?" The servant replied, "He is my master." Then Isaac brought her into the tent of his mother Sarah, and he married Rebekah. So she became his wife, and he loved her. And Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. Abraham had taken another wife, whose name was Keturah. She bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shua. Abraham left everything he owned to Isaac, but while he was still living, he gave gifts to the sons of his concubines and sent them away from Isaac to the land of the east. Abraham lived 175 years. Then he breathed his last and died at a good old age, an old man and full of years. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah near Mamre, where Sarah had been buried. After Abraham's death, God blessed his son Isaac, who lived near Beer Lahai Roi. This is the account of the family line of Ishmael, whom Hagar bore to Abraham. Ishmael lived 137 years. He died and was gathered to his people. This is the account of the family line of Isaac, the son of Abraham. Abraham became the father of Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old when he married Rebekah. Isaac prayed to the Lord on behalf of his wife, because she was childless. The Lord answered his prayer, and Rebekah became pregnant with twins. The babies jostled each other within her, and she said, "Why is this happening to me?" The Lord said to her, "Two nations are in your womb. One people will be stronger than the other, and the older will serve the younger." When the time came to give birth, there were twin boys. The first to come out was red and covered with hair, so they named him Esau. After this, his brother came out, with his hand grasping Esau's heel, so he was named Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when Rebekah gave birth to them. As the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter, while Jacob was content to stay among the tents. Isaac loved Esau, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once when Jacob was cooking stew, Esau came in from the open country, famished. He said, "Let me have some of that red stew." Jacob replied, "First sell me your birthright." Esau said, "I am about to die. What good is the birthright to me?" So he swore an oath to Jacob, selling his birthright. Then Jacob gave Esau some bread and stew. Esau ate and drank, then got up and left. So Esau despised his birthright. Now there was a famine in the land, and Isaac went to Abimelech king of the Philistines. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Stay in the land where I tell you. I will be with you and bless you, for to you and your descendants I will give all these lands." Isaac stayed in Gerar. When the men of the place asked about his wife, he said, "She is my sister," because he was afraid they would kill him for Rebekah. Abimelech looked out a window and saw Isaac caressing Rebekah. So he summoned Isaac and said, "She is really your wife. Why did you say she is your sister?" Isaac said, "I thought I might lose my life because of her." Abimelech warned all the people not to harm Isaac or Rebekah. Isaac planted crops in the land and reaped 100-fold, because the Lord blessed him. He became rich, and his wealth continued to grow. The Philistines envied him and filled up all the wells that Abraham's servants had dug. Abimelech said, "Move away from us, you have become too powerful." Isaac moved and reopened the wells. But the herders of Gerar quarreled with him. So he moved on and dug another well. They quarreled again. He moved and dug a third well, and no one quarreled. He named it Rehoboth, saying, "Now the Lord has given us room." From there he went to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you." Isaac built an altar and called on the name of the Lord. Abimelech came to visit him with his commander. Isaac asked, "Why have you come to me, since you were hostile?" They replied, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you. Let there be a treaty between us." So they made a feast and swore an oath. The next morning, they parted in peace. That day, Isaac's servants came and said, "We found water." He named the well Sheba. And to this day the name of the city has been Beersheba. When Esau was 40 years old, he married 2 Hittite women. They were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. When Isaac was old and his eyes were weak, he called for Esau. He said, "Go out and hunt wild game, and prepare tasty food for me. Then I will give you my blessing before I die." Now Rebekah was listening. She said to Jacob, "Quick, bring me 2 young goats so I can prepare food for your father the way he likes it. Take it to him so he may bless you." Jacob said, "But Esau is hairy, and I am not. What if my father touches me?" His mother said, "Let the curse fall on me. Just do what I say." So Jacob dressed in Esau's clothes and put goat skins on his hands and neck. He went to his father and said, "My father." Isaac asked, "Who are you?" Jacob replied, "I am Esau." Isaac said, "Come near so I can touch you." He touched him and said, "The voice is Jacob's, but the hands are Esau's." Still uncertain, he ate the food and drank the wine. Then he blessed him, saying, "May God give you heaven's dew and earth's richness." may nations serve you and be ruled by you. As soon as Jacob left, Esau came in. He said, let my father sit up and eat, so that he may bless me. Isaac trembled and said, who was it, then, that brought me food? I blessed him, and he will be blessed. When Esau heard this, he cried out, bless me too, my father. But Isaac said, your brother came deceitfully and took your blessing. Esau said, isn't he rightly named Jacob? He has deceived me twice, first my birthright, now my blessing. Esau held a grudge and said, I will kill my brother Jacob. When Rebekah heard this, she said to Jacob, flee to my brother Laban in Haran. Stay there until your brother's fury subsides. So Isaac called for Jacob and blessed him. Then he commanded him, do not marry a Canaanite woman. Go to the house of your mother's father Bethuel and marry one of the daughters of your uncle Laban. Isaac said, may God Almighty bless you and make you fruitful. May you inherit the land God gave to Abraham. Esau realized that his Canaanite wives displeased his father Isaac. So he went to Ishmael and married Mahalath, the daughter of Abraham's son Ishmael. Jacob left Beersheba and set out for Haran. When he reached a certain place, he stopped for the night. Taking one of the stones there, he put it under his head and lay down to sleep. He had a dream in which he saw a stairway resting on the earth, with its top reaching to heaven. The angels of God were ascending and descending on it. There above it stood the Lord, who said, I am the Lord, the God of your father Abraham and the God of Isaac. I will give you and your descendants the land on which you are lying. God said, your descendants will be like the dust of the earth. I am with you and will watch over you wherever you go. I will bring you back to this land and not leave you. When Jacob awoke, he thought, surely the Lord is in this place. He was afraid and said, how awesome is this place? This is none other than the house of God. Early the next morning Jacob took the stone he had placed under his head and set it up as a pillar. He poured oil on it and called the place Bethel, though the city used to be called Luz. Then Jacob made a vow, saying, if God will be with me and give me food and clothing and return me safely, then the Lord will be my God. When Rachel saw that she was not bearing children, she became jealous of her sister. She said to Jacob, give me children, or I'll die. Jacob became angry and said, am I in the place of God, who has kept you from having children? Then Rachel said, here is my servant Bilhah. Sleep with her so she can bear children for me. So Bilhah gave birth to 2 sons, Dan and Naphtali. Leah saw that she had stopped having children and gave her servant Zilpah to Jacob. Zilpah bore 2 sons, Gad and Asher. During wheat harvest, Reuben found some mandrake plants and brought them to Leah. Rachel said, please give me some of your son's mandrakes. Leah replied, wasn't it enough you took my husband? Must you take my son's mandrakes too? So they made a deal. That night, Leah went out to meet Jacob and said, you must sleep with me. God listened to Leah, and she conceived again. She gave birth to Issachar, then Zebulun, and finally a daughter named Dinah. Then God remembered Rachel. He listened to her and enabled her to conceive. She gave birth to a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. She named him Joseph. After Rachel gave birth to Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, send me on my way. Give me my wives and children, for whom I have served you. Laban said, name your wages, and I will pay them. Jacob said, don't give me anything. Let me go through your flocks and remove every speckled or spotted sheep and every dark-colored lamb. Laban agreed. That day, Jacob separated the flocks and placed peeled branches in the watering troughs. When the stronger females were in heat, they mated near the branches, and they gave birth to streaked or spotted offspring. Jacob's flocks grew stronger, while Laban's grew weaker. In this way, Jacob grew exceedingly prosperous and came to own large flocks, female and male servants, camels, and donkeys.